So when you're going to be doing this introspection, you're going to be, very importantly, noticing your emotional states and their causes. You need to be able to distinguish and to feel fear, anger, sadness, loneliness, frustration, desire, hurt, craving, happiness. You need to notice when you are afraid. You need to be able to notice when you are angry. You need to be able to notice when you are jealous or envious. You need to be able to notice when you're in a certain type of mood, a good one or a bad one. Just this category of feeling your emotional states and introspecting as to their causes, what is causing these states. It's not just a matter of, oh yeah, I'm angry. It's also, why am I angry? What is causing this anger? And a lot of times it's not somebody else, it's really how you're thinking about the situation. It's your belief system. It's the meanings you're attaching to things. It's things that you're denying, right? There's always a deeper hidden layer, a sort of a subconscious layer that you need to get at, which is the true cause of many of the emotions that you feel. So a lot of the emotions you feel, you can't just trust them blindly and then act on them. You need to go underneath them and to figure out what's actually sourcing these emotions. Why are you having them consistently? And so there's a lot just to work on here with emotions. Most people have terrible emotional intelligence. They're not able to distinguish between these very different kinds of emotions. They're not able to tell when they're afraid and when they're angry. They're just acting out their fear or they're acting out their anger. They're not able to feel inside and to see how their thought patterns, for example, are being subtly shaped by the anger inside of them or the fear inside of them. See? And these can be very subtle. You might say, well, Leo, yeah, I know when I'm afraid. I know when I'm angry. That's easy. No, you don't. Sure, there are very gross instances of fear and anger, which are obvious to most people when you're terrified in a panic, when, some burglar is breaking into your house, or when somebody has really got you pissed off and you're flying off the handle. Sure, you know that, but even in those cases, you're more so controlled by that fear and by that anger. You're enmeshed in it more so than you're able to actually be aware of it. But fear and anger, usually these are subtle things that subtly shape your everyday life. You feel fear dozens of times a day. You feel anger many times per day, but usually you're not aware of it. You're not aware of how it's shaping you, where that anger and fear is coming from. Jealousy and envy, for example, these can be very subtle emotions. They don't broadcast themselves within your consciousness as just like, oh yeah, I'm jealous of that lady there. I'm jealous of that guy there for his success or how many subscribers he has or how much money he makes or how good he looks or whatever. These are usually very subtle. And so it's a skill to be able to feel into this stuff. And it is like feeling. You're feeling into it. But it's not like you're reacting based on these feelings. I'm not saying that you need to be some emotional mess and now a slave to your emotions. It's difficult to describe because it's sort of slippery and vague. And our society has conditioned us to think that the most real things in the world, the most important aspects of life are those which are tangible, material, quantifiable, and easily explained without any kind of vagueness or fuzziness to them. They are logical, they are razor sharp, they're scientific. And this whole notion of feeling into your feelings or just feeling into your own body and into your own mind, this seems like some sort of sorcery or woo-woo stuff. And it seems like it's not objective enough to be able to sort of rely on it. Because you might wonder, well, how do I know that I'm feeling into things properly? That's right, it's a skill. It's a skill similar to surfing or skateboarding. It's a skill similar to a golf swing, where you can't quantify the perfect golf swing. You can't write an equation for it. You can't write a scientific manual on the perfect golf swing. I mean, you can try, but actually by doing that, what that does is that puts you into your head, and that will ruin your golf swing if you have all those equations and formulas and quantifiable procedures and steps methodically that you go through when you're doing your golf swing. See, that's actually going to make your golf swing unnatural. So it's something you have to practice over years, and you have to develop a feel for, and then you can get really good at it such that you can rely on it. You can even bet your life on it. And it becomes more accurate and more reliable than any kind of scientific formula or piece of logic or any quantifiable thing. And that's what life is like. Life is like surfing. You got to get a feel for it. And the best people that are able to live life most excellently are those who are doing it by feel, not through some sort of pure logic or some sort of formulaic way. It's a sort of a soft, fuzzy way of going about life. But that's just life. And it makes this, the problem is that it makes this skill difficult to teach, because I can't just give you a 1, 2, 3 step formula that you follow for doing perfect introspection. And of course, it can't be that way, because if there was this sort of formula, then you see any kind of formula like that is very easy to defeat. Similar to how in war or in a chess match or war on the battlefield, you can't have a 1, 2, 3 step linear procedure for how to win every battle or every war or every chess match. It's dynamic. It's fluid. You have to adapt to the situation. And one of the most important aspects of it is that it's not formulaic. See, because if you have a formula and I know your formula as your opponent, I can then beat your formula. So you can't live life in this sort of formulaic way. You have to be able to adapt, and you have to be very creative. And this is actually what makes life interesting and not boring. This is what makes you different than a robot. You're a conscious robot, we might say. But you have to take control of this consciousness. You have to be able to feel into yourself. You have to be able to also notice your thoughts. Beyond your emotional states, you have to notice your thoughts and how your thoughts work. Why do you think the thoughts that you think? Like, you just had a thought. Right now you had a thought. Why did you have that thought? Where did it come from? What sourced that thought? What motivated it? Some deep need or craving that you had? Some emotion that you had? Some egotistical impulse or bias that you had, which is driving your thinking? You also need to see and notice the interplay between your thoughts and your emotions, how the two feed into each other in a strange loop sort of fashion, where thoughts can create emotions and emotions can create thoughts. You need to be able to also notice your rationalizations, justifications, and excuses. The mind, the ego mind, is a brilliant rationalizer and justifier of almost anything. The ego mind can literally justify and rationalize anything it wants, no matter how heinous, how biased, how selfish, how devilish, how evil, how false it is. The ego mind can make it look true, can make it seem justified and valid. You need to be able to notice that within yourself. When your mind is doing that to you, the only solution to that, the only countermeasure, is to be able to feel into it and through it, to see through the sham of it, to see how your own mind is rationalizing, and you can actually watch it rationalize. Maybe you're in an argument with somebody and then your mind starts to rationalize about why you're right. And you got to be able to see through the illusion of that and to see, to notice that, oh yeah, there it goes again. My mind is going again. Now it's rationalizing. Look how I'm rationalizing about that person and how they're wrong and how I'm right and all of this. And I'm building a whole story around it. And I'm making excuses. And I'm justifying why I hurt them because in the past they hurt me. And that now makes it seem justified. Most people aren't capable of this because they haven't trained this muscle. This is the introspection muscle, this skill that we're talking about.